Yes, London. Yes, London. It's the doctor's surgery. Doing some technical checks in the background. Apologies for the late start. We've been here in the studio, working out a few technical itches and glitches. Just because we have a special day for you. Today we got our first interview on the doctor's surgery, and I'll bring you some more about that at 9 o'clock on the hour. If you could send me the link, please, so that I can send out this link to all the necessary listening audience that I normally send my link out to every week. Yeah. I still not hear no feedback on this now. I thought I was, yeah. So each week, that sounds right, isn't it? Yeah. So each week, we normally give a quite a detailed summary of events over the past week in terms of what's taking place in the media. If you're a first time listener, welcome to the Doctor's Surgery, Britain's first black current affairs show. We discuss the matters that we feel that's being discussed within the media that's pertinent to us as a community, and we keep it professional in that capacity, looking at all the key issues that's affected us over the past week. Now, what are the things that's been key as a issue over the past week? Well, we know first and foremost we've had the big issue in terms of the coronavirus. That's been, what's the word, forefront of everyone's news. So we just wanted to start with that one, because it's growing in impetus. So we just want to say to the family, stay safe, keep the hygiene level up. It's surprising how much the government in the UK, they have to be teaching hygiene and hygiene standards to the people. That's astounding, about good hygiene. The government shouldn't essentially have to be teaching and saying good hygiene is good hygiene. Once you have good hygiene, then if you catch the virus, there's other means that you can catch the virus even with good hygiene. But nonetheless, the way that they're emphasizing and have to be emphasizing good hygiene and teaching people how to wash their hands is astounding. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I want to touch on a few points from last week. On last week's show, we discussed the issue around Trevor Phillips in terms of his comments that were utilized within the media last week to disparage black folks. And over the past few weeks, we've been highlighting that, whenever someone tends to throw themselves under the bus in terms of a move that kind of betrays their own, what usually happens is that the very people that they're defending and trying to be a part of, that's usually not their own, would tend to turn against them. And so said, so done. I was so surprised that in such a short space of time they've turned against Trevor Phillips. Again, he's back in the news. He's been suspended from the Labour Party for anti-Islamic comments that he's supposedly has made, which is astounding how quick the turnaround in terms of him trying to throw his own people under the bus, talking about black families in a disparaging way, and the next thing you know, they throw him under the bus. So your wife will keep you company, Trevor. That's all I can say. Your wife will keep you company. At 9 o'clock today, we've got an interview coming up with a lawyer, a solicitor. I'm not quite sure what term to use there. And this lawyer is going to be detailing the case of a young man. I'm not quite sure if you've heard the information around Christopher Kapessa. And this is a young man whose story goes that they were in Wales. I'm not quite sure how many other black folks were there with him, but there were 14 other youngsters of Caucasian background, so 14 white kids and Mr. Kapessa. From the basic information that I've received from the news, I'm hoping to get some more information this at 9 o'clock when we do that interview with the family's lawyer. So basically, it was last June, Mr. Kapessa died tragically after being pushed by one or more of these boys into a lake in South Wales, and died tragically. And it was astounding when I was reading the police report from within the newspaper article via the media outlet on the BBC and other channels, saying that South Wales police have determined that the key suspect is a young man of good character and intellectual or a good educational or intellectual background. I don't quote me on the exact terms they used, and that there's no public interest in seeking prosecution for this young man. Now that's astonishing, because we know that if a young black guy had pushed another black guy or even a white youngster and caused death, you know, that young black guy probably would never see the day the light of day again outside of a prison. But yet a white teen can kill, whether accidentally or intentionally. That's what a court case is supposed to determine. Another black youngster, and you hear nothing of it. And you know, we have to kind of flag these things up and offer a more community basis of understanding and support to our own when these things happen. And so we're doing an interview come 9 o'clock with the family's lawyer to get some more information, to get some details on the case. If you've got any questions that you want to take part in the show, or if you know anything more about this case and you just want to go live and send your support, you know, please feel free to call in. The number to go live and have a chat with us is 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. It's the doctor's surgery. So the things that have been pertinent in the media. Let's start with the royal family. It's good to see Harry and Meghan getting some positive press, even though they really pushed for negative press at the start of the week when they first came back last week. There was a lot of negative press straight away in the likes of the Mirror newspaper and the general media outlets, where they would go someplace, where they went to a few events and the one white person would boo, but yet the whole ethos of that article would be around the one person booing. But by the end of the week, you know, they've received a massive outpouring of support, especially from the black community, which is positive. You know, we don't knock our own in the sense of however decisions and life choices they want to make. We don't throw our own under the bus. They throw themselves under the bus, should that be the case. And as far as we can see, the couple have been very supportive to the community, so we will continue to support the couple in that sense. As long as you support the community should always have your back, I say. You agree? You disagree? Let us know, 0753 996 8143. What else has taken place in the media? I want to flag up a case that came on the media in just a bright flash last week, and it kind of links to some degree to young Mr. Kapessa's case. Last week it was announced that a senior police officer in the force, it literally just touched the news briefly for one day, had been charged for being a member, has been suspended and is currently under investigation as it's come to light that he's a member of a far right racist group, basically. Now, it's amazing that you can have police officers in this day and time that are senior within the force that are members of far right groups, and how does that impact then on all the prior arrests and convictions that this officer has been involved in? Now think about that. You have a Met police officer, I think they did say it was a Met police officer, that's likely to have interacted and arrested numerous, whilst going up the ranks, to have arrested numerous youngsters, black youngsters in urban areas in London. And as a result of that, their lives have been changed through interactions with the youth offending service, or the prison system, or even probations in that sense, based on age. And you know, when these officers' true colors come about, there's nothing about looking into. There was nothing reported about looking into, you know, past misdemeanors, or are they waiting until this officer is convicted? If this officer is convicted, is it going to be newsworthy? Are they going to place it on the news? How many times have this happened? Where can we get this information in terms of officers being disciplined due to racial prejudices in their standing? And are there cases that they've overseen and help to prosecute by the Crown Prosecution Service, the CPS? Have these cases received the adequate reviews that they should have, or they should get, so that, you know, racial prejudices, we know that this will cause people to do certain things that are very untoward, you know, in terms of getting that prosecution, because there's no balancement. There's a straightaway racial bias, and not just a racial bias in one's action, but a bias that's based on strong prejudices. So we do not know if all these cases that this officer has overseen, if all these cases were dealt with in their purity, whether these convictions are sound, and should there be a review. And if there's a review and they are found to be, technically speaking, I think all the cases that this officer is overseen where there's a racial undertone to it, where the person that's being prosecuted is being black, I think those cases, they need to be retried in some instances for serious offenses, with that view that the officer's prejudices played a strong role, and in other cases that those convictions should be quashed. We have to think seriously like this to say how many lives that as this officer damaged, and the fact that the media outlet and the press, they've given very little attention to this information. Now you have a young white girl who has flagrantly taken part in physical action with, was it a certain amount of young boys in was it Ironap or Cyprus or one of those places? And you know, she claimed that she was raped. The video log came out disproving the whole undertone of that she was raped. The media went quiet, but before that video came out that disproved her ridiculous claim, the whole media and press was behind this young white girl. But yet a family's lost a child to one of the most heinous, in one of the most heinous ways. You know, a child has been killed, and yet you don't get that same outpouring of support within the media. And the media knows about it, because if you Google this information, you will find it on the national sources like the BBC, where there was also media attention and media scope for the young white girl. So you can start to ask yourself the question, because a lot of people like to love to defend the UK in terms of balancement and fairity, like myself, but it has a long way to go. The UK is still very much so a very racist place with a lot of racist outcomes and a lot of racist ways. But is it accidental or is it incidental in the sense that it is something that's pushed? You know, this racial undertone is pushed to create division, because the South Wales police that's determined that it's not in the public interest to prosecute, it's astounding. I thought the CPS determined that, not the police. But we'll get some more information on that on the hour at 9 o'clock, because it's very much so something that we have to bring light to, and it's good. I mean, I didn't even know about this until it was brought to my attention by the radio station last week. So it's so much so that it received such a quiet output out there in the media. So it was just brushed under the carpet. And this is why it's so pertinent that we have shows and radio stations like Omega, but we have shows like the Doctor's Surgery, where we can actually create the platform where we can inform and keep ourselves informed with each other. And that's why I said it's very important and it's very crucial that we stay at top of these changes and the information coming out within the national press, so that we know what's what and what we should and shouldn't do, and how we should and should proceed with the information that we have. And these are the key things that we have to focus on. So this week we're going to kind of keep it in and around those bits of information. There was like I said, there was a lot over the past week in the national press, but more so the key thing that's resounding worldwide at the moment is the coronavirus. Are you prepared for the coronavirus? How should you be prepared for it? You know, as my producer just said, stockpiling. Are you stockpiling, or are you fine to take on the Muslim way when you don't have no toilet roll? I spoke to a friend of mine. I said, "You got children, man? Have you got your toilet paper in place?" And he turned around and said to me, "Oh, that's ridiculous for the fact that people are stockpiling." You know, and I said, "What?" I said, "It's not always about whether this virus is going to be as devastating as people feel, or whether it is or it isn't going to be. We cannot really predict, and we cannot really guess. We can make the assumptions that as everyone else has made the assumptions, but how do we prepare for the eventuality of what will take place? You know, should you have rather than not have? And you know, as opposed to just going by the whim of things. You know, the UK, when the virus was first taking a foothold across the globe, I remember there was an interview done at the beginning of February, I think it was, and a professor from one of the top UK universities came on one of the national press media outlets in an interview, and they were asking him questions, and since they've not put him back on air, funnily enough, and he was saying that whilst and this was at the time when the Chinese action were being viewed extreme draconian within the national press, you know, that these measures were uncalled for, they were not necessary. And can you send me the Omega link as well, please? The tune in Radio Omega. Just text it to me so I can forward both together. Yeah. So it was amazing. He was saying that people in the UK should, when this pandemic gets to the UK, as and when it does, people would wish they were in China, because the government's actions in the UK is lackluster, and we have to give thought to that, because the Chinese government, they were able to build in the space of 7 days 1,000-bed hospital. Now HS2 is taking 20 years and it's not started yet properly, right? Yet we know that 1,000 bed hospital, that's a massive undertaking, and yet the Chinese government was able to do that. So credit where credit is due. We have to kind of think about how our actions um, tend to may be impacted by the capabilities of the very country where we live. And bear that in mind. How do our actions play out? um, and it's an interesting thought that we have to kind of look after ourselves, because we can see that should anything go awry, us we as within the black community, we will be at a shortfall. So we have to look out for each other. This division principle and premise that's been galvanized in the community over the years, we have to start getting rid of that. We have to teach our youngsters, to how to survive during times of crisis. And we survive during times of crisis by being vigilant, as well as looking out for each other the right way. When I say look out for each other, I don't mean every single body out there needs to be looking after every single body out there. We look after key people in and around, and we keep our networks tight. And it's quite crucial that we take these steps to support each other as we go along. It's not all the time that these things will take place within the public's eye. It's not all the time that it's always going to be a negative impetus. But during those bad times, if we're together, we will always be together within the good times as well, I hope. And it's a shame, because we know one of those bad times, if we go back to 2011, during those riots across the UK, there was a strong unity. And it's a shame to see how that unity is fallen away, that we have so much gang violence again. Because we always forget. There's a saying, lest we forget. I don't remember where it's from. I don't know if it's from the Jewish Holocaust principle, why they always reminding people, or some other place. I can't remember where that saying's from, but I know that in any instance where you start forgetting what's happened to you, then it opens the door for it to happen again. So lest we forget, this will happen all over again. So we have to start to, during the bad times when there's strong and good unity, we have to always remember these things, remind ourselves of these things. We should never forget these things. Out of the bad we choose the good. The racing car driver, what's his name, Lewis Hamilton, he's now in Australia, because we know the Formula 1 season is starting come this Friday. And one of the things that he placed up on his social media was his visit to a lot of the burnt areas. He went to a lot of the burnt areas during what's it called, during the bushfire in Australia, and there's regrowth already. We already have that profound and strong regrowth within the bushfires within Australia. So during that negative, when the fire was ripping apart the land, no one expected that regrowth. And so during the bad times, when there's that strong unity, that regrowth should even be more powerful. So right now, we are going through a bad time here and in the United States. We know that the police is running a riot with black folks in the United States. You don't have to be far from social media to switch it on and seeing the police brutalizing another black person in the United States. It's not far from the mind's eye. But what I don't get is why these black people in America move so loose. And I don't mean to say it in a disrespectful way. I mean to say it in just how it is. Why do they support these institutions like Walmart and these places? Is it just because of the cheapness of something? People need to move a bit better than that, man. The way they move in America is it's good in some senses, because it's new unity in terms of the black excellence that they're moving with in going forward. That's a great example. But in terms of that ground level of support. People need to move away from supporting a lot of these mega franchises that are continuously throwing negativity back on them, calling the police on them, and then they know exactly what's going to happen. But we live in a different world. We live in the UK, because I know that if someone calls the police on me, ooh, yeah, that day is going to be a party, because that person I never going to forget, and whenever we see them again, we going to dance. I don't care. I'm going to say that live on air. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that I live good. I do my best to always treat people good. So if I ever been in a situation where someone's calling the police on me, they've done me wrong. And I will always encourage people to live good with others. It's not about going out there and being a bad man. It's about going out there and living positive and strong together, because it's that time and day. But again, let's review the processes. At 9 o'clock, we're doing that interview with the lawyer for the Kapessa, young Christopher Kapessa's family. If you don't know who that is, I'll give you a reminder. Young Mr. Kapessa drowned last year in Wales, South Wales. He was there with, the reports that I've read, he was there with around 14 white youths, and he was pushed into one of the lakes or river outlets over there in Wales, and he drowned. The police investigated and determined that the youngster that did it, the likely youngster that did it, that there was no public interest in prosecuting him, because he was a brilliant and smart young lad with a bright future. Now, don't quote unquote for me, just Google and you will read the article for yourself. You make sense of it for yourself. I do not want to emotionally rile people up, but this, I feel, is disgusting. If it was my child, you get me, that's a different story. You all know that, who know me know what I would do. I ain't looking for no criminal justice system to help me there, but I can't tell you to do something negative, so I'm not going to tell you to do something negative. I'm just saying I wouldn't be looking for no support from them, because you're not getting no support from them. So what it is would have to be what it is. But we have to encourage the process of fighting for this fairness when it's taking place. We have to support the family in their endeavors, because it's not us. We're not the ones feeling the pain. We can always say what we're saying until you're feeling that pain of a loss of a loved one. So what we can encourage is for people to support the process, to understand. And the lawyer, we're going to be interviewing the family's lawyer at around 9 o'clock, as long as when we get through. And we're going to be having that chat to get some more insight on what's really taken place, to get some better clarity. So if you don't know about this case, send this around to everyone, so that they are aware of what's going to be taking place at 9 o'clock, so that they can tune in and listen to what the lawyer has to say about the case and where things stand, and what the expectations are, if the family needs any support, or what, just to get some better insight, because I'd love to know more. Like I said, I didn't even know about this. I didn't know anything about this, and I'm a person that, as you know, the doctor's surgery is a show that started 4 or 5 weeks ago, and over the last 2 years, my emphasis in creating the show, along with the producer, is to research everything that's taking place in the media, review how the media deals with it over the weeks, and then make that stark compare and contrast between white affairs and black affairs, and look at how the media deals with it. And what we found over the last couple of years is that there's a strong discrepancy between the two. If we go back a couple of years, 2-3 years, we can go back to the case of even the footballers, where there was disparaging comments made about what's his name, Mr. Sterling. What's his name? Raheem Sterling. You know what I'm saying? We all know these cases. We're all familiar with these cases. In recent times, it's the comparison between Kate Middleton and Meghan, because if you notice, they always say Meghan Markle, right? But with Kate, they just say Kate, and then they say Duchess of Cambridge, right? and the Cambridges, they don't say Kate Middleton anymore. They stopped saying that years ago, but with Meghan, they say Meghan Markle. So it's like they're saying, go away, you know what I mean? We don't want to give you that recognition. So we're going to say Kate Middleton, because we don't have no manners, I ain't got none, right? We're going to say Kate Middleton, yeah, and we're going to say Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, also, right? So we're flipping it around. Anything they do to you, do it back to them. If they done it to you, it's a green light to do it back to them. That's my philosophy. I deal with an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I have no a nail for a nail, anything. If you juke out my eye, I'm looking to take both of yours, because my one eye is as valuable as your whole family's eyes. That's as far as I'm concerned. So the way that I see it is that, you know, we have to take a stance against foolishness, against unnecessary prejudices. This country's come such a long way. You know, this country's come such a long way in the sense that there's so much good people in this country. And there are a lot of good people in this country. I've met so much good, and I'm talking of all nationalities. I'm not just talking about black folks. And anyone that's listening to the show that's of a different ethnic persuasion, that's not black, what I mean, is that this show isn't a show to try to create a divide between black folks and white folks, or black folks and Asian folks. This is a show to discuss the underlying undertone nuances that are still there, that are still profound, that you see dragging and carrying on racism. You know, and if we can't discuss these nuances in public, if we have to be ashamed of them, then this country isn't liberal enough, and this country isn't equal enough for us to really grow and become our own community as we should. And a lot of these things, they have to be flagged up. You know, a lot of our own behaviors set the undertone for the problems we have. And I say that unapologetically. You know, a lot of these, what's the word that I use? Compromises. A lot of these compromising scenarios that we tend to find ourselves in. So if we're in a mixed relationship, it's difficult for someone in a mixed relationship, a black person with a white person, or a black person with an Asian person. It's difficult for that black person to be too strongly pro-black. We know that because when I've researched and I looked at the comments of someone that's in a mixed relationship in public to someone that's in a black and black folk relationship, there's a stark contrast within the comments. You know, I saw an interview with, no, I'm not going to go there this week. This week I want to keep it focused around these issues. So before I even run into the interview in the next few minutes, I want to highlight again, because again it's about discussing current affairs over the past week. I want to highlight again the fact that senior Met Police officer, a senior Met Police officer, and this links back to South Wales, because we would say that the Met Police is the benchmark of police in the UK, wouldn't we? Because that links back to the Scotland Yard and all that stuff, right? So a senior Met Police officer has been suspended for links to a far right group. That's white people jargon for saying they found out that this policeman is extremely racist. For those that don't fully understand those jargons, yeah, they found out that this policeman is fully racist. Now, to be a senior police officer, for those that don't know, I have to speak. I hope I'm not condescending. I'm not letting anyone feel condescended. I'm doing my best to speak to a vast array of people that are listening and not lose anyone along the way. Now, to be a senior police officer, you have to go through the ranks. You used to have to go through the ranks, and it's likely that this officer went through the ranks of beat patrol all the way up. So a certain amount of arrest and promotion, and you know, crime solved and promotion to get to where the position they're in today. Now, as a senior Met Police officer, it means you're interacting with a lot of black people within the community. Am I correct in saying that? If you're interacting with a lot of black people within the community, and as such, how many of those cases will be reviewed? You know, should all these cases be reviewed? Because they may, and there's a strong likelihood of prejudices within those cases. Should those cases be quashed and thrown out? And why is it that it was only mentioned once at a whim and not more seriously discussed? Is it because the coronavirus? Maybe. I don't know. You know, because we do know the coronavirus is kicking up a storm right now, and it's gotten the eyes of the world looking at things as they are. So it's taking the 95% of what's taking place in the media. You know, everyone's talking about the coronavirus. But one of the things that I learned a long time ago is that whenever there's a crisis, that's when a lot of the nastiness of this society comes out, because it's overshadowed by the crisis. And the nastiness that's coming out is one, young Mr. Kapessa's case, where the Welsh police, and we know the Welsh are some of the most racist people in the UK, the Valley people, especially the Valley police. When you go to Notting Hill Carnival and those places, you pick up the accent. I know accents. The most racist police that I've met on the street, they always have a Welsh accent. So I say the Welsh are the most racist based on that grounds. That's why I say that. I'm not saying the Welsh people are racist. I'm saying those ones from the Valley, my experience with them has always been atrocious. I don't know what your experience is. You can let me know what your experience has been like. So it's not surprising that the Welsh police is taking this stance. But the Metropolitan Police that should have a better standing, you know, a better grasp of the interactions with the urban communities. It's surprising to hear that a senior officer has been suspended because he's linked to a far-right group. You would think that after you become a senior police officer, you would start to break away perhaps from those negative things that could tarnish your career. Well, for the fact that those negative things were further embraced by this officer, it shows you how ingrained the racial prejudices in him, or in he or she, because they didn't say the name or anything. You know what I mean? But let's that being a black officer or something. Did you know that a black Met officer was suspended because their sister sent them inappropriate image, and it suspended and sacked her for something that she didn't even read or look at? Yet, as you have a senior officer belonging to a far-right group and we don't even know their name. We coming up soon, we have that interview with the lawyer for the Kapessa family. I promised you at 9 o'clock. We're going to ring through now to see if we can get that going. So bear with us. You know, it's interesting about all the information that's taking place in the media. If you don't know, I don't know if young Mr. Kapessa lived in, Christopher Kapessa lived in Wales. I don't know if he lived in Wales. I don't know a lot about the story, but it's quite shocking about how this information has come to light, and it's quite shocking that, you know, all these things are being swept under the carpet quite subtly. So we have to kind of start to tackle these things as they are. If you're just tuning in, it's the Doctor's Surgery. What's this show about? The Doctor's Surgery is Britain's first black current affairs show where we discuss all the things that have taken place in the national media and national press over the past week. I go by no name. If you're watching live via the YouTube channel, you know, I'm just here having a chat. It's not about me, it's about the information. I seek no credit, I seek no fame from this information. Well, maybe some credit, I seek no fame. It's just about bringing you the information as it is, in the best light as possible, so that we can have that discussion, we can have that dialogue. In order to discuss a lot of these sensitive subjects, we have to understand that we as a community, we have to discuss those difficult subjects, those difficult subject areas, and bring them to light, not to bash our own. The ethos of the show is that we never really turn on our own, but should our own turn on us, they throw themselves under the bus. So should something go wrong, then it's on their shoulders it be. We always highlight that in European psychology is taught that once someone turns on their own, then they're the most untrustworthy person that you will ever meet. That's what is taught in European psychology. So they will never trust you should you turn on your own. Always remember that. We've given examples over the past few weeks, and each example that we've given has come to light. We highlighted the Chancellor. They then kicked the Chancellor out. Caller, you have to go straight live. My producer is on a phone call. Can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you. What I'm going to say to you, I've been listening to your probably came on this show. I want to say, the Jews are just the least we ever forget. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The Jews, you want to find out who owned most of the ships that went across to Africa and brought them over to America, and brought the slaves over to America.
Mm-hmm.
With the molasses and the alcohol they were sending, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to bring back all these slaves and put them in these little cases in the ships that you've seen in the books already.
Mm-hmm.
Who were the owners of all these ships? Who were the controllers in the offices who were sending these ships out? It was the Jews. So, least we ever forget. So, what they're talking about Islam is about war is kind of ridiculous.
Okay.
Well, what they did to Hitler, they didn't tell that with the pornography they were dealing with and the other controlling the finances of the country, why Hitler took some of those actions he did.
Okay.
So in case we forget, we have to know what we are talking about, what we are fighting about.
Okay, caller. You know what? I'm only cutting it short because I have to go to live with the Kapessa's family's lawyer now to do an interview.
Your news is on now, yeah?
Okay, no worries.
Just like
All right, cheers. All right. Hi, good morning, Miss Brown. Hi, good morning, Miss Brown. Oh, hold on. What have I done wrong here? Let me see if I can get you.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm struggling to hear. See if you.
Okay.
Oh, this won't go live, will it?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you? Okay. Let me try another way. The cable seems to be failing me. How are you doing this morning, Miss Brown? How are you doing, Miss?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing my best, thanks. For those who don't know, on the line with is it Miss or Mrs.?
Miss Brown.
I'm on the line with Miss Hilary Brown. Can I call you the Kapessa family's lawyer, or am I wrong in saying that?
You can certainly call me the Kapessa family's lawyer.
Miss Brown, young Mr. Christopher, can you give me some background as to this case? Because this case is not received the media attention that I think it should have received. It's very sparse in the media. I saw some information on the BBC and a few other outlets, but the information is very limited. Can you give me some background as to the case with young Christopher?
Yes, young Christopher was a lovely young 13-year-old boy, full of life, full of laughter, who loved football,
Mm-hmm.
who went out one day with his friends on the 1st of July of 2019 to play football, as he told his mum, and ended up dead, having drowned in a local river.
Mm. So, Mr. Kapessa lived in Wales, did he?
Okay.
He did, yes. Christopher lived with his mum and 6 other siblings in Mountain Ash in South Wales, yes.
So, from the limited information that I've seen in the media, at first I thought it was a school trip that he was on, because it gave an impression that he was with 14 other young men. Was he?
He was. He was with at least 14, possibly 16 other young people, boys and girls, of around his own age.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't on a school trip. Some of the young people had called for him that early evening. And as I said, he told his mum he was going out to play football and ended up dead in a river.
What is from the police investigation, what are the background details of what's taking place?
Well, there's a lot of controversy around the police investigation from the very beginning. who within 24 hours concluded that this was no more than a tragic accident, having spoken at that time to 4 of the possibly 14 or 16 young people that were there. Pressure was brought by the family and my firm and the monitoring group. A complaint was submitted to the IOPC by the monitoring group, and we asked the police to look again at this with fresh eyes and fresh ears. And that resulted in a lengthy investigation, the culmination of which we were able to find out at the end of February was the case proved to be not a tragic accident as was originally described by South Wales Police, but was a result of an intentional push by an individual with 2 hands, and that met the threshold for bringing about a charge of manslaughter. However, the Crown Prosecution Service decided that it was not in the public interest to bring a charge of manslaughter against this young man, therefore denying Christopher's family the right to seek justice.
So it wasn't actually the South Wales Police that made that decision. It was the Crown Prosecution Service.
Absolutely right. So, you know, the police do not make decisions. Decisions are referred to the Crown Prosecution Service, and ultimately it's them that make the decisions as to whether to charge or not. Our criticism of the police was they were too hasty, we feel, in concluding that it was no more than a tragic accident. And we condemn the police for their failures to do things such as, you know, seize all of the mobile phones from the young people that were there to see what kind of talk was, you know, going around the various social media platforms. They failed to secure the scene. You know, they failed to speak to all of the other individuals that they were there. And yet, before the conclusion of the investigation, they were already of the opinion and were verbalizing the fact that, in their opinion, it was just a tragic accident.
So, do you feel that, based on this early action, that it set the precedence for key evidence to have gone by the wayside prematurely?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
And did that contribute to the CPS's decision? Was there a lack of evidence why the CPS made that decision, or was it?
Well, to be honest, we don't know. We have asked for a review of the CPS decision, and that review is being undertaken as we speak. But because of the ages of some of the young people involved, there are, you know, quite serious safeguarding issues. And so the police have been very protective of revealing who has said what and what other pieces of evidence they have managed to gather. We know that some children were spoken to initially and then changed their story. And so, you know, which young people they were, what their first story was, what their last story was, we don't know. We don't know, because the police have been very careful and cautious not to disclose and identify anybody.
I mean, I was a youngster at the time with the Stephen Lawrence case, but this has a strong reminder in my mind, listening back all those years ago to the Lawrence family and what took place then. Are there, as a lawyer, you know more than me, is there a strong correlation between the two?
There certainly is, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, some of the same criticisms about, you know, failing to secure the actual scene as a crime scene, you know, failing to speak to a number of witnesses quickly, you know, very quickly. And then knowing that people told a version and then changed a version, and then quite late on in the investigation, another person who was there at the scene was then later identified. You know, how was this allowed to happen? How was this allowed to happen?
So, is there any evidence of a cover-up? Because it sounds that if stories are changing, and there was this clear process of not following the recommendations that would have come out of the Stephen Lawrence case. Or is that going too far at this stage?
Well, at this stage, we don't know. What we know as fact is, in the first instance, South Wales Police were saying this was no more than a tragic accident. And yet, the evidence that they managed to gather satisfied the CPS that it met the threshold to bring a charge of manslaughter. Now, that's very different from first impressions.
So,
very, very different.
So what is the next step? What's the next stage for the family? What's the process at hand?
Well, the next stage for the family is to await the outcome of the review of the CPS decision. And if the CPS maintain their original decision, we will seek to judicially review their decision.
Okay. I mean, we will continue to stay abreast of the information, and I'm hoping that I can speak to you again in the future to get an update. Should
Absolutely.
there be stages? Before you go, I was doing my checks. Are you the same lawyer that's supporting the Windrush family? I'm sorry to put you on.
Yes, yes, I am.
I mean, that's another day of speaking. But how is that How is that process going?
It's very slow. It's very slow, and it's not what it was meant to be. And it is certainly nothing like we hoped it would be. People are finding it still very difficult to access, both the compensation scheme and also there seems to have been a huge slowdown of the momentum to issue biometrics cards to people to prove that they have the right to remain here in the UK. The battle goes on.
Okay. I'm hoping, as I said, I'll hope to speak to you again in the future, Miss Brown. Is there anything that you'd like to give to our listening audience before you go, or do you feel that
just please, the situation in relation to Christopher is a tragic one that no mother should have to go through. It could have been anybody's son. Everybody has the right to access justice, and Black lives do matter.
Is there anything that our listening audience can do in the interim to support?
Well, absolutely. There is a crowdfunding page that's been set up. Donate. Even £1 will help. We have a target of £10,000 that we need to kick off a legal fight. There is a march going on in London on the 21st of this month, where there's going to be a heavy Welsh presence screaming and demanding justice for Christopher Kapessa. Please come along and support.
Oh, okay. What is the fund? Do you have the information for this, the funding?
Yes, it's a crowdfunding site, Justice for Christopher Kapessa, and it's justice and the number 4, Christopher Kapessa.
Okay, I've been saying his name wrong. My dear. Where is the march taking place? We know it's in. You say it's in London, right? Where is the march taking place?
It's in London. I'm not sure where it's starting and where it's finishing, but it's all over various social media platforms.
Okay, we'll look into that and we'll broadcast as and when we have, hopefully next week. Thank you very much, Miss Brown.
And thank you for your time and thank you for your interest in this case.
Thank you. I look forward to speaking to you again because you got a lot of information that we need to get out there.
Most certainly. You take care. Have a good day.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Yes, that was Miss Hilary Brown, the family lawyer for the Kapessa family. I've been saying it the wrong way around. Sorry for my dyslexia. I do apologize. As I said, the case was only brought to me over recent days, last week by the station, and I was so surprised from what I read. It's unbelievable in this day and time about what's taking place. And as I say, we have to support each other, and it's not about it's just black folks. No, this is not what we're pushing. It's about everyone supporting everyone. But You know, over the years, it's been said on a lot of outlets that, you know, we have to clean up our house first and so forth. This show is actually starting to push them about taking action, you know, the necessary task. You know, let's have those debates that are current and at the forefront, and making steps to ensure that each and every one of us support each and every one of us. You know, we are only as weak as the weakest link in the chain, and you know, we have to start doing that. So I would love for people to go to the crowd funding site, Justice for Christopher Kapessa. For so Justice for Christopher Kapessa 4, and make a note in your diary for those who can make it for the 21st of March 2020. That's next week, isn't it? No, that's in just a week and a half. So we should have another show on air. So I'm hoping to be able to bring you some more information on that march for next Tuesday. And thanks again goes out to Miss Brown for taking the time to speak to us here on the Doctor's Surgery, Britain's, you know, first current affairs show that deals with current affairs matters. We broadcasting live on Omega FMradio.co.uk, Omega 104.1. Omega London TV presents on YouTube. We also, if you search under the channels bracket, the Doctor's Surgery, you can watch a live stream of what's taking place in the studio, as well as our Facebook and Instagram. You can go onto our YouTube channel, the Doctor's Surgery, and you can see past shows and having that discussion. I went so fast I even failed to. I went so fast I should have asked Miss Brown her take on the accusations towards this senior officer that's been, you know, but it is what it is. What is your take on it? We had a caller before that we had to cut short with Miss Brown. He was talking about, lest we forget, there's a lot that we need to remember. Everyone, you know, and what the caller was saying, that even though other races or other ethnic groupings or other religious groups has gone through their own difficulties, of which we do not propagate to be a good thing, we have to also recognize that each and everyone, where they have had a negative impact on us. And he was talking about the funding of the slave ships and what was taking place in the past, where he was saying that a lot of the financial funding came from the Catholic Church and as well as the Jewish community. But you know, unfortunately, I had to cut the interview, the call short, because we had the live interview with Miss Brown to jump into. But if you want to take part in the show and you want to give us a call, you know, it's the Doctor's Surgery. The live number to go live to talk to our producer, if you, or to text in, is 0753-996-8143. I'll give it again, 0753-996-8143. One last time for the road, 0753-996-8143. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know how the interview came across. Is there anything that you'd like me to find out and establish? Because you know, we understand that Miss Brown is a very busy lady. As you can see, she's doing a lot for the fight for the community, and we have to give recognition where recognition is due. So we couldn't take up too much of her time, but you know, we thank her for the time that she gave us to get the information out there. We will definitely have her again on air, because we want some updates in terms of both scenarios, not just for Christopher, but we want some update in terms of the Windrush information, because a lot of these things are brushed under the carpet by the national media and national press. But you know, we are going to take up the mantle. We are going to start pushing it out there. You know, we are going to start make sure that, you know, there's this information is getting out there. 478, thanks for the drop call. Give us a call back. Go live. You know, tell us how we're sounding. If you got any questions, if you got a point of view that you want to make, it's interesting. How do you feel about this information? The Stephen Lawrence case. How long ago was that? My memory isn't as, you'll bring it up. Okay, good, because we want to give it exactly. So it's like 10, 20, nearly 30 years ago now, isn't it? But we'll get the exact dates, the date, and all the recommendations, all it, as Miss Brown was speaking, and when I was 1993. So, you know, 17 years ago, as I was hearing the information and it was tied into what I read, it sounded more and more. 20, oh, sorry, did I say 17? 27, sorry, 27 years ago, nearly 30 years. Yeah. I did say nearly 30 years, but yeah. Don't worry about the maths, you get me. As it was being tied in, it started to just remind me as a youngster in the early 90s, here and throughout the 90s, hearing all the information that it just sounded so like a repeat. It sounded like I've heard it before. And the Stephen Lawrence thing was just popping in my head. It just sounded like I've heard it before. You know, and we always say enough is enough. You know, and enough should be enough. One is too many. But again, you know, we have to take the stance of actually learning to support our own whenever these things happen, because you never know when it's going to come around. And not everyone's going to be like me. Not everyone's going to go back and knock the other door. You know, because I will knock the other door for my own. Trust me. So we have to, you know, support those who can't go and knock the other door. Because, you know, I was raised by my grandmother. You know, my grandmother, if someone did something, she'd go and knock the other door, and whatever was done, you know, let's knock it like that. And she was a woman, and she taught us how to be men. So as a man, trust me. But I cannot promote that. All I can say is we have to support the processes the family has initiated, and you know, if you can financially support, we encourage you to financially support. I'm going to look into that crowdfunding later and give my support. If you can, we urge and ask you to give whatever support you can. These processes are expensive, you know, and they're time consuming. So if it does crave a lot of money, it does crave a lot of spending. So we urge that if you can, and you can give big, give big. If you can give little, give little. If it's £1, give £1. If it's £100, give it £100. If you're rich, you know, and you want to give a 20,000, give what you can. Get the process going. Let's start to support each other. You know, let's set that example. And if people outside the community want to come in and support the community as well, we appreciate that. But let's stand up for our own, and let's stand up for what's right. You know, let's get rid of the negative, and we start, you know, moving forward in a positive way, positive actions that lead to positive outcomes. You know, it's not just about talking. Action speaks louder than words. So let's start making those correct actions in terms of our forward movement. So if you're just tuning in, we had an interview at 9 o'clock. The show, if you want to listen back to the interview with Hilary Brown, the lawyer for the I'm sure she said Kapessa. I was saying Kapessa, right? it's Kapessa, right? The family lawyer for the Kapessa family, and she was given some background to the case, given some more clarity. It was explained that young Christopher had gone out with friends to play, and it resulted in his death. You know, the crux of the story goes that, you know, a lot of the people that are around young Christopher at the time of the incident, tragically, you know, were white, and the police investigation into it was extremely premature in their conclusions, so there was a loss of valuable evidence. Now, if you can imagine it was the other way around and a white child had died, you know, I can guarantee you that that black child that did the pushing would be in prison right now. You know, they would have beaten him half to death first in this police station probably, and he would have been in prison now. So it's something that we have to fight for. If you have to keep fighting for justice, it is what it is. You know, it arcs back to the saying that they say when it comes to justice, justice means just us. You know, it's just those that it's intended to be for. But I'm not going to go into that jargonism at the moment. We just want to make sure that the support is given. If you can make it to that march, go to that march. People like to say it's modern day Britain, but it is. It's 2020, and we have to have that clear vision right now. You know, we have to know what we want and what we expect, and we take what we want and we take what we expect. You know, we shouldn't be waiting for handouts. So as such, you know, we need to take it as it is, and we need to go and demand what it is that we expect and we want. You know, it's not, we shouldn't be begging for anything. We should be going out there and demanding that justice is served. You know, if it's an accident, then it's manslaughter. Isn't that what it, accidental death, right? Deal with it as it is. You know, you shouldn't have pushed him. Be glad that this is a family that is forgiving, because if it was my family and you pushed my family and caused that, then trust me, a different story with me. So all I'm saying is, you know, let's get some justice served right now in the UK. If you want to call in, let us know you're listening. 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again. 0753 996 8143. That's the call or texting line. I'll give it again. 0753 996 8143. How can we manage with the constant hypocrisy and constant racial prejudices that we're constantly meeting within the British media, the British press? The British media didn't even cover this. Think about it. There is so little about this information. No one cares. Think about what is being said here, people. This is on the same scale, if you're listening, as the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, one of the biggest inquiries in the last 30 years within the UK. It's on the same scale, but it's the prejudices and the biases that's taking place in there shows clearly a disregard for the police to follow certain simple procedures. So should the police be tried in this? Should certain officers be persecuted, or not persecuted, wrong word, prosecuted? Yeah, I keep thinking that it's me in it. I have to laugh because I'm heated with it. You know, it's not a laugh of humor, it's a laugh of anger. it's amazing how wrong this is in so many ways, you know. And unless we create that united voice, it will keep happening. You know, these things happen every so often, and we need to make sure that they no longer happen. Wherever something happens, be it accidental or intentional, the correct processes are followed. And it's as simple as that. That's all one can ask. If the correct processes are followed from start to finish, then we can understand and we can accept a fair outcome. Where the problem where it becomes a problem is when the proper processes aren't followed, simply because someone along the way feels that it's not necessary to follow those processes because they're judging someone because of the color of their skin. And when we look at the police, we have to recognize that a lot of their actions are dealt with based on these inappropriate actions. A lot of their outcomes are based on their prejudicial thinking. It's a black person, it doesn't matter. And it's not that they in their head say it's a black person, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It's like in a lot of cases it's just like a natural thing where it doesn't matter. You don't need to put that effort in because who cares? This is the thing that we have to always recognize and realize. Can you just drop text there and I'll fall back here. These are the things that we have to naturally realize, that if we don't stand up and squash these bugs, you know, when they manifest, then it will always grow into something much worse. When we take the United States for an example, when what's that guy in Florida called again? George, I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. George, the guy, the Trayvon the Trayvon case. Trayvon Martin, yeah, where he was walking home and was attacked and was killed. That trigger there was like, if we go back, that was like a trigger for a whole series of deaths on top of deaths in America. Now, I always think the response was wrong in terms of the Trayvon case. He should have. There's no way George should have been. Anyway, I'm going to say that out loud. You know what I mean? There's no way. The response was completely wrong. But the moment that was allowed to stand, it became open season to disrespect the rights of black folks again in America. Now, I don't know if there's an agenda towards this or what the case may be, but it doesn't bode well, and we have to always make sure that these things don't carry on or happen again to anyone. No mother, no father, no brother, no sister should be feeling the pain of loss and unnecessary loss. When someone's not ill and you just lose someone just like that, you know, it's a very hard pill to swallow, and no one should be going through that pain whatsoever. So that's my take on the whole scenario. I'd love to hear from you. 0753 9968143. I'll give it again. 0753 9968143. one last time for the road, 0753-996-8143. You know, it's very sad. And then when we look at a scenario where a senior Met police officer has been suspended, these are things that, you know, what like I say, I listen to the news. These are things that have they just go by like a flash in the news. You know, unless it's a big deal like Meghan and Harry, then it doesn't get much airplay. If you notice, the ones that get much airplay are the ones where they can utilize the information to bash black folks. Those are the ones that get airplay. But where is the other way around, where there's a major dereliction of duty on behalf of a white person to a black person, it's played down. And we have to ask ourselves, you know, what causes that downplay?
Yes.
You know,
Would you like to go live?
what causes that downplay? And we
Would
have
you like
to
go live?
look at these things in greater detail. Yeah, but don't go live. Come, you know, we have to look at this in greater
Oh,
you know,
I'd have to.
you know, in a greater principle. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there because I'm multitasking. So we have to look at these things when we hear these flashes within the news. Bring them to my attention, because I'm one person, my producer makes two. We can only monitor the media outlets so much to bring that information. And thank you to Omega and Omega Management for bringing Christopher's case to my attention. You know, I have to hats off Omega Management. They've done an excellent job in keeping abreast of information in terms of things that impact with the community. You know, they've been one of the main proponents of 14 Dead, Nothing Said over the years. Credit where credit is due. So, you know, we have to always keep these things in media, to the media and the media's eye. What?
Issues with donating, that's all.
Okay, so the caller wanted to know some more information about donation.
Look, there's issues with the page.
There's issues with the page.
Yeah, you can't donate, or there's problems donating.
Okay, so if you're struggling with making that donation, keep trying. Funny, innit? So we just give out the page and it I get trouble already, unless it was giving trouble from before. But you know, I hope no, it can't be now. Well, keep trying. You know, it might just be a little technical glitch. You know, sometimes these websites have these little glitches. You know, but keep trying. Make sure that we get that figure up to that mark, that benchmark of £10,000 and beyond. You know, beyond. Definitely. If someone has the link and you can send it, you can text it into the station. We can share that link. So it's 0753-996-8143. So we can give the exact link so people can just click on it. Once they type it in, it goes straight there. 0753-996-8143. I'll give it again. 0753-996-8143. So to jump back in, you know, so these when we listen to the news and we listen to the media outlets, the news is always very subtle in how they censor information that's pertinent to us, and we have to be mindful of that. They might mention it, but it's a single mention. You know, I can watch news all day for 24 hours, and then at 2-3 o'clock in the morning there's something different that's said momentarily at that, as they would say, ungodly hour at night, and then it's not mentioned again for the rest of the day. You know, so the news is these news producers and these people, they are very clever in their subtlety now they present things. Now, do they feel that if they present certain information, it's going to come across as what's the word? Racially motivated, racially charged, that could lead to riots and so forth? Because we have to think as such. We have to think that the information that we get is very, what's the word? Censored. we do receive a lot of censored information in the national press and the national media, and that information is also going to be censored down to the demographics of who that information is going towards and what level of information that those certain demographics will receive. And we have to follow how that censorship works when it comes to the black and black community in the national media and the national press. They like to harp on around black and black violence, and that's one of the things that angers me with the youngsters and the young G's out there. You know, we have to recognize that we have so much to offer, that this gang violence and this violence towards each other, that needs to be secondary. You know, that needs to be something that's set aside so that that commonality becomes stronger. And I strongly feel that this enmity towards each other is pushed by the British media and the British press. I strongly feel that. I've always felt that anyone that's doing any work within the community groups, that's doing excellent work in causing a subsidence in gang activity and gang violence, they are then discredited along the way and thrown under the bus. You know, the reason being is because it's like they want the focus to funnel strictly towards government and governmental organizations. This country is whilst it's a very fair country in a lot of senses, it's very peculiar in how it takes on certain things and how it controls certain things in what they call the nanny state. So it kills entrepreneurship, and the entrepreneurship that it kills tends to be entrepreneurship where black folks thrive. So where you have young community groups going up and doing excellent work in these areas, whenever the work becomes too good, those groups are attacked, or individuals within those groups are attacked. You know, it's like there's always an air of distrust when it comes to black organizations in the UK. You know, and again, within the nanny state system, you know, they censor a lot of the information that we receive. And so when we allow that devil in, and I don't mean it in the sense, again, as I say, week in, week out, I don't mean it in the sense of I'm calling a specific group or race the devil. No, that's not what I'm doing. I said when we allow that devil in, as in the negativity, when we allow that negativity in to the debate or into the topic, that's what then causes the lack of cohesiveness and the breakdown of whatever we're doing. And we have to keep that devil out. Literally, we have to keep those negative aspects of things out. Do what you say you're going to do on the tin and keep it as such. You know, because when the problem comes in is when people don't do what they say they're going to do. And us as a people, disappointment doesn't go a farewell way. So, if you want to listen to the interview again, it'll be back up by the end of the show, and it'll be up on the YouTube channel, right? Is it automatically up there, or it's going to be automatically recorded on the YouTube? So you can get that interview. You can listen to that interview again. What we're going to do, we're going to edit down that interview as well, so that people can send that around. You know, you can send that YouTube rather than sending the whole 3-hour show around, which makes no sense of me rambling and ranting. We're going to edit down to that little 15-minute section with the lawyer. But again, I digress, going back into the subject matter of what I mean. So when you see information in the news, we have to take it, you know, as it is, as and when. And these are the things that why we say we need our own current affairs show to discuss these topic areas. Now, one of the biggest pieces of news, along with Mr. Young Christopher's case over the past week, that's come to light, is that a senior Met police officer, and how many people knew about this? A senior Met police officer has been suspended for belonging to a far right group. That's usually neo-Nazis and skinheads. Isn't when they say far right. So we have to always be mindful of what and how these things are taken. It's a doctor's surgery. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. We bring you this show is about being Britain's first black current affairs show, bringing you all the pertinent information that's taken place in the press for the last week for active dialogue and discussion. We know that we have a listening audience, but it'll be good to speak to someone as and when so often, so I'm not always just rambling. It's a call-in show, being piloted for the next 5 months. We got a 6-month pilot window, and I hope the show's being received well. I hope you appreciate the show, the hard work that goes into the research in the background to make sure that we got everything that's been in the media over the past week, analyzing it and then bringing it to the forefront. The big news topics of the day: young Mr. Christopher Kapessa. We done the interview with his lawyer at 9 o'clock gone. Also, you found the link?
Yeah.
It's working now?
Should be.
Okay. Also, the police officer, the senior police officer that's been suspended for far right, for their far right views, or being a member of a far right group, rather. And then the biggest topic of the day is the coronavirus. Has it been impacting on you? Has it been impacting on your family? How have you prepared for it? Have you prepared for it? Or I saw this guy in a shop telling a shopkeeper off for wearing a face mask and gloves. And I just thought it's like black people have nothing better to do. I couldn't believe that the man was in the shop bothering the shopkeeper. Now, if I was a shopkeeper, I would have been doing the same thing. I would have been in my mask and my gloves, because I'd be handling money and I'd be handling a rapid foot traffic of people, and if I had the access to the gloves and the face mask to protect myself, why wouldn't I? Especially if I have elderly family at home, because it's not always about the individual that you see, it's about the elderly, and it annoyed me so much seeing that video of that black guy chatting foolishness in the man's shop. If it was my shop, I'd have fling him out. You get me? He'd have been turning his back to me and he'd just feel a bottle licking in his head, so dish-ling, and he'd wake up outside. I'm not even joking. I'd have fling him out my shop. Boss he said I'd fling him out my shop, because leave people alone in their premises. It's not about the young and virile and strong individuals. It's about the elderly. A lot of people are saying, oh, it doesn't affect this group and it doesn't affect that group. Well, let's hope that's the case. I'm not going to say you should be sitting on a wall and shouting that down the road. I say you keep that quiet. It's not everything you chat. Keep it quiet. Don't bring no attention to things that's beneficiary if that's the case. Let nature take its course. We say that nature is going to take its course. Let nature take its course. Poor English thing, but allow nature to do its thing. But we have to also be. We should have been prepared. If we weren't, are you not prepared? Are you feeling that you ain't got no toilet paper now and you need some toilet paper?
I don't understand that.
What the toilet paper?
Yeah, I don't get that one.
What do you mean you don't understand it? I don't understand what you mean.
I don't understand why you stop buying toilet paper.
Why people stockpiling toilet?
I don't know.
Why are people stockpiling toilet paper? People are stockpiling toilet paper because it's an essential. You stockpile essential things.
You're in the comfort of your own home, so it makes sense. You
need to speak in the mic, so go on, say again.
All I was saying is that you're in the comfort of your own
Oh,
home.
wait. That mic ain't working. Hold on. Go on, say again now.
Yeah, it's working. All I was saying was That you're in the comfort of your own home, so stockpiling tissue doesn't make sense because you're in the comfort of your own home. So say for instance you run out, I'm pretty sure you can use other methods or other means in your own home to,
It's a newspaper.
well, you can get a
Uh-huh.
rag or a cloth, like it don't
They
make
say
sense.
they're Muslim.
I'm not saying to a Muslim, but I'm just saying the tissue don't make sense.
It's-
It doesn't make sense.
you,
And to cause fights and kerfuffles like that, it don't make sense.
you see, a lot of times what I've said to people is that going to stockpile now is a bit redundant because you're at it's already gone bad.
Mm.
You know, when I heard about this virus 2 months ago, I told people to stockpile 2 months ago, because I said it's going to become a time where people are going to just panic over something that could be real or may not be real. So whenever you get the heads up like this, you know, you have 2 months ahead. These are the things you need to do, A, B, C, D. Now, I never came. We started this radio show. I wouldn't have come on this radio show and start telling people to stockpile, because I wanted to make sure I could get my stuff. I'm going to be real, you know. So, but people, you never know what's going to happen. So you're not doing it because, I don't think people are doing it because there's a worry that this thing might be bad. They're just doing it just in case that this thing gets bad. Because it's better to have and not need than to need and not have.
No, but what I don't understand is that these people who are stockpiling, like the tissue video that I saw,
Mhm.
it's like they're only taking care of themselves and not necessarily other people. So when that one girl was asking for just one out of the dozens that she had on her trolley,
Mm-hmm.
it's a case where just give her one. She's just asking for one. So you're making it harder for other people when tissue is not a necessity.
So why she never got virus from a long time?
But it's not a necessity. She's probably thinking, you know what, the virus isn't that bad. I'm just gonna go do my little shopping.
Tough cookies.
No.
It,
No.
it's tough
Have a
cookies.
bit of
But this is
compassion.
how
Have
people.
compassion.
But the reason I'm saying it like that is that this is how people are. People are out for number one during the time of crisis, and that's what I'm saying. During this time of crisis, we look out for each other.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you build strength in character, you build strength in depth. You get what I'm saying? It's always during a crisis, or it's, as the saying goes, it's when your back is against the wall that you know yourself. So I'm not saying that, you know, people should go out and stockpile now, because it's a bit redundant now in that sense. But you need to kind of have that little backup. Can you just say my radio, please? Yeah, so that's when you have that little.
Hello?
That's when you have that little backup. So it's quite it's quite crucial that it's quite crucial that you know, we don't be reactionaries. We should always, these are things that we should have in abundance, you know, the essentials. But again, I go back, the virus per se isn't essentially something that people should be viewing and panicking about. But if you have an elderly mother, an elderly auntie, or elderly family member that lives,
Someone with health
or
issues.
grandmother, someone with health issues that lives in the house, or a family member that's in close proximity in terms of contact, you have to take the necessary precautions for your own benefit. So when this guy was in the shop picking on the shopkeeper, he doesn't know if the shopkeeper's mother is in good nick, or his wife, or whatever the case may be. Do you see what I'm saying? So anything could be the case. So you can't look at someone else's steps to look after themselves as a judgmental thought to say, why are they doing that? You know, you take your own necessary steps as to what you feel fit, based on the statistics of how you want to go by with things. But again, you know, this virus is seemingly having a significant impact right across the board nonetheless. And what's the next phase? If London goes into lockdown, are people prepared? Because they locked down the north of Italy initially, right? And again, I say when China was doing it, they said China's measures were draconian. Now a European nation has followed. China's measures aren't so draconian anymore. It's seen as perhaps China was ahead of the mark because they're making it look like now it's a positive thing that others have to follow. You with me? So the question then goes, what if then Britain enters that serious phase where we know that in Italy it's right across the whole of Italy now. The whole of Italy is shut down. Not just the north of Italy anymore. If people ain't watching the news, it's right across the whole of Italy. North, south, east and west of Italy is now under, at least until April, shutdown. People are told not to go to work, not to go to school, and all these things. Now in the UK, they still got schools open, which I think is a folly, because they're looking at it to say the economy comes first. And how may that impact on people? Again, it might not be as drastic. It's not for me to say. I haven't got the figures in front of me. I don't buy the government figures. They got the true figures in front of them, so they can make the necessary assumptions on things. If they get it wrong, it's on their head, be it. You see what I mean? So I'm not going to say anything that contradicts what the government information is, because I haven't got that expert opinion. It would be good to interview an expert to know that knows that little bit more than I do, to get some insight. But on every independent interview away from what the UK government is saying, that independent person has highlighted, we got to go for the news. We catch you back on the other side. We have to go for the news.
News and views around your community.
This is the AmigaRadio.co.uk news at 10.
The whole of Italy is on lockdown because of coronavirus. Everyone is being told to stay at home, apart from for work and emergencies, until the 3rd of April. Michelle Puselli is an intensive care doctor in the Lombardy region.
We have a lack of doctors and nurses. We should have done much better prevention training to protect our health staff. We don't need infected heroes.
More than 9,000 people have been infected with COVID-19 in Italy, and almost 500 have died. The Foreign Office is now advising against all but essential travel there. People arriving in the UK from the country are also being told to self-isolate for 14 days. England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jenny Harries, says the country needs to be prepared for more infections.
We will see many thousands of people infected by coronavirus. That's what we're seeing in other countries. And the important thing for us is to make sure that we manage those infections and make sure that those individuals who are most affected, so our elderly people, particularly those with chronic underlying conditions, get into hospital and get treatment.
But apart from basic hygiene, we're not being advised to change our daily routines for now. An American lawyer says Prince Andrew has completely shut the door on cooperating with the investigation into the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Buckingham Palace says the issue is being dealt with by the Duke of York's legal team. He denies knowing anything about his friend's crimes. Almost half of university students in the UK are now said to be seeking professional help for mental health problems. The study also suggests the majority hide their symptoms due to stigma. Parts of Wales have been hit by more heavy rain. Further downpours are also forecast, with a Met Office amber warning in place in some areas. It's just a month since Storm Dennis devastated the area. And in sport, Leicester City's Jamie Vardy ended a dry run by scoring twice in their victory over Aston Villa. They won 4-0 last night. And that's the latest. I'm Simon English.
Amiga, you're the Thinking People station.
Shaka Zolo! OMEGA, meaning Organized Mothers Eradicate Gun Atrocities. Shaka Zolo, Amiga.
Swap, stand with our children, and BLBC. We're asking for volunteers from the Northwest 10 postcode to provide 2 hours per day, twice a week, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. to escort our children on their route from the school gates to their bus stop, to ensure a safe passage. For further information, please call 074963 31547. Thank you. If we care, they care.
Chris will cook it, a Caribbean experience you'll never forget. He's warm, courteous, and provides a service at high standards. Chris will cook it. Caribbean catering provides for weddings, christenings, funerals, hen nights, and stag do's. We also do small parties. We provide a home romantic meal for two with a restaurant feeling in your own home. Contact Chris will cook it on 07415 432 486. That's 07415 432 486. Let's make it a date and don't be late.
Hey, I'm trying to get through to you. You know how annoying it is to phone your telephone love, friends, or business associates, and your mobile is giving problems? You know how long it takes major network companies to repair your mobile? Well, don't worry, there's a way to get through. Repair all major brands, software updates, battery testing, RF testing, refurbishment, technical support, 15 to 45-minute repairs in most cases. Nokia Samsung Care Repair, located at 8 Glengall Road, Kilburn, London, NW6 7EP, 1 block away from McDonald's. Telephone number 0207 625 6884.
Blue Mountain Peak caters for all your festival holiday needs. We have all your favorite Afro-Caribbean products. We also carry pure flow seasoning, ackee, kalaloo, mackerel, smoked ham, rice, fresh Afro-Caribbean bread, bun and cheese, and much more, all on special offer. Blue Mountain is in the heart of Housing, 2-8 Craven Park Road, Housing, NW10 4AB. Telephone 0208 965 3859. And our website is www.bluemountainpeak.com. Blue Mountain Peak.
Master Jerk, we have curry mutton, oxtail, brown stew fish, roti fillings, breakfast menu, porridge, cornmeal, banana, fried dumplings, drinks, homemade Irish musk, sorrel, pineapple punch, soups, red pea soup, mutton soup, chicken soup. Opening hours 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. Minimum order £15. Local delivery. Address 150 Church Road, Wilston, NW10 9NH, opposite Church Road Market. Telephone 0203 632 2572. We are friendly and we cook with love. Master Jerk Chicken. We are the masters.
20 years ago, I helped create a gang called the Crips. Today, I'm speaking to you from death row. I never imagined that the Crip gang would spread throughout California, throughout the nation, throughout the world. And I deeply regret the legacy that it left, because it left a legacy of genocide, black on black genocide. And I apologize for my part in it. But I am deeply encouraged to see you here today. That lets me know that I'm not alone in deeply regretting this legacy and seeing it for what it is. And no one can have a better influence on gang violence or gang culture than gang members themselves. And therefore best positioned to reverse this course of violence. But we must do work. We must get out there and we must forge peace. We must stop exterminating one another. We must stop all of this madness, because at the end of the day, we have only ourselves to blame. We must have a do or die attitude, as we were as street warriors, to rebuild our culture and to create a new lasting legacy, a legacy of peace.
Music you want, the information you need.
Yes, London, we're back.
He will be speaking to us and...
Yes, London, we're back. It's the Doctor's Surgery, Britain's first black current affairs show. bringing you the facts, and no, let me rephrase that. You see, I'm getting confused with a previous show. Bringing you the current affairs information that's been relevant in the media's eye for the last week within the UK. So we aim at discussing things that have been that's popped up in the media that's been pertinent. And what we find ourselves doing, we've been discussing things that the media's just brushed over, so that we've given it more of impetus, so that we know that these things are taking places. Over the past few weeks, we've been focusing on nuances within within the community, and I say nuances, I mean we've been focusing on presenting information that are crucial to be discussed by us as a people, so that we can clear the air, set a precedence of understanding, so that we can have that dialogue. We feel that compromise and being in a compromise situation has made it extremely difficult for us. What I mean by that, as a person that's got many friends of different ethnic backgrounds, it places me in a lot of situations in a difficult position to have open and honest dialogue at times, because you feel that you are somewhat betraying a friendship. You feel compelled to give an overly and inappropriately balanced view on something. So sometimes we have to say pause. If you're a friend, you can respect why I'm going to say this, because if you're a friend, I don't appreciate the fact that you feel too comfortable in saying, yeah, well, I'll go on my N-word. I don't adhere to that. It's not a principle that I like. It's not a principle that I adhere to. When I was younger, I may have used the term as a term of endearment and affection, but we now grasp and realize how this term can be seen as in a negative way and has its negative impact. So we set aside the self-propagation of racism, because whatever we do, we make cool, and I will always be reiterating these points week in, week out. Whatever we do, we make cool. So when we use racially charged terms amongst ourselves, we make it cool for others to also use it against us. And then what happens is that through deterioration and other nuances within the public, those popularized new terms become racially emotive and racially charged when it's used against us in hate. So, and then we get angry, but yet we keep those terms going. We keep fueling the fire of those racially charged terms. So those are the little things that we started out discussing in and around those subject areas, and we utilize the basis of these nuances to make a discussion when we're having that dialogue with people. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight is the discussion around what's the best way of putting it? The discussion around the officer that's in the Met that has been suspended because he or she belongs to a far right group. Now, this goes back to a conversation we had 2-3 weeks ago when we were talking about Clarissa Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police, that came out a little while back and said when she first became the head of the Metropolitan Police, she said that one of her goals was to stamp out institutional racism, and as such, institutional racism was stamped. She claimed institutional racism no longer exists in the Metropolitan Police. Now, it took this show and doing this show to start grasping the nuances within those terms, that institutional racism is a term that's used to denote policies and procedures within the police force that creates racial bias, and it didn't denote or relate to the fact that the police officers themselves were racist. It didn't reflect that. So when they say the Metropolitan Police is no longer racist, it means the policies and procedures that are in place, that are to be followed, are no longer racist. However, those enacting and acting on those policies and procedures choose to ignore or follow those procedures properly. If you, the individual in the public, don't realize the differences in what those procedures and policies are, because you didn't even recognize that the term institutional, like myself, I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying like myself, did not realize that the policies and procedures in I didn't know, I'll come back live on the radio, please. If you did not recognize the policies and procedures in those forces, what it meant, that if you don't realize how those nuances impact or what they meant, it's like it slides over your head. Do you see what I'm saying? And it slides in between the nooks and the cracks, so that you don't realize when these policies and procedures aren't being implemented properly against you or the individual. So the individual doesn't know, so the force, whilst its policies are overarching and balanced, whilst the force's policies are overarching and balanced and tick the box of no longer being institutionally racist, the officer that's meant to be following these protocols aren't essentially following the protocols, but you will never know. And so when you complain that the force is racist, the force tends to say, no, there's policies and procedures against that happening. But what happens in misconduct? Because that's what misconduct would be making remarks towards. And the South Wales Police's actions in terms of Christopher Kapessa's case is clearly and blatantly expressive of that institutional racism still exists in that force, as well as serious police misconduct. And that same police misconduct that you see right across the board is fundamental and instrumental where in the police force, where now they've suspended an officer for belonging to a far-right group. Now, if we review that officer's history, how long they've been with the force, if they've been with the force for 40, 50 years, every single case that that officer's tried should be reviewed, should receive a case review. Are they going to do that? Because a case review is needed and necessary in those scenarios to ensure that justice had taken place. If someone, and when I say all the cases that they've tried, I'm talking about where the person has been black or Asian in this instance, you know, or of an ethnic minority, BME they would say, right? So all BME convictions that's been investigated by this officer needs to be looked at, because there's grounds that his prejudices might have made him not follow during the times of institutional racism if he was an officer then, and after the time of institutional racism is meant to be gone within the Met. So someone needs to speak to Clarissa Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police, to say, what about what about the cases that this guy's tried? He's just been suspended. So what? Who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? Suspension. If it's found that this guy, as a result of his actions, as put. Yes, okay?
This person.
When I said guy, this person, because we don't know if it's a woman, right? All right, cool. My producers corrected me. If it's clear that this person has not followed through on procedures and they've caused the conviction of many BMEs, should they also then be given time in prison if they found guilty? Because it's the perversion, not just the corruption, the perversion of justice. If the cases are reviewed and the convictions are sound, then granted, it is what it is. Don't commit crime. But the fact is that we are now dispelling the constant misinterpretation, the constant misunderstanding that's taking place when we talk about institutional racism or racism on a whole. We start to realize that racism is something that is far more subtle in its nuances than people realize. You know, send a shout out to 179 text message about the bail-in powers special resolution regime, and I'm going to have to look at that at the next time. Seems like a lot of information. I'm not sure if it's pertinent to the actual show at hand, so I'll look at that 179 in off air. If it's pertinent, I'll bring it to the attention next week of the listening audience. If you want to take part in the show, you want to text in anything, let us know you're listening. If you understand, if you disagree, it's key that if you disagree with the show, you let me know that you disagree. I do not want to be presenting something that makes us as a people sound stupid. You know, I want to make sure that this show maintains an air of professionalism. I know where I cross the line of professionalism sometimes, and that's where my anger gets the better of me, and I say, if someone poke out my eye, I poke out both of theirs. Because that's how I am. I have one, my producer tells me about that all the time, but I got one face. You know, if I can't, I'm not two-faced at all. I got one face, and I have to be me. So I will encourage people not to essentially have to follow me with that one day, but that's just me. You know what I mean? I have one face. I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm not going to teach anyone to turn the other cheek, because I don't turn no cheek. You see what I'm saying? So I got one face with that. So apart from that one lack of professionalism that I may have, where else do you feel that I need to improve? Or what is, because this show has taught me a lot. A lot of the people that have called in and they've given those little bits of information that they've given, it's gone a long way to when I step away from the show and done my reflection in terms of how it's actually helped me to grasp and understand, similar to what I'm explaining in terms of the institutional racism concept. Because like I said, before the show, I was saying Crusader, or whatever her name is, Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police, I was saying that Miss Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police, I was saying that she was racist, that she can't come out and say that institutional racism is locked off because the police is still racist. But then in my drive for doing the show, I started to understand that, I started to grasp and understand, I should say, that what she was actually saying was the policies and procedures that she's put in, and credit to her if that's the case, that she's now putting policies and procedures to eliminate that taking place. But there's to eliminate the lack of those policies and procedures. But what we haven't put in is what she hasn't put in. Sorry, my phone was ringing, it's just throwing me off. What's not being placed in as yet into those policies is the fact that what about the individual prejudices of the officer? You know, is that something that is achieved through further training, or is it felt that the training is at a certain level where it's already, because we do know the police are still prejudiced. When the police stop young black guys, the way they talk to them is as if they're not human. Yet if they're stopping an MP or someone of prominence, they will go, "Good day, sir. The reason I stopped you is da 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 da." They're not going to go up to these youngsters and say, "Good day, sir." They're going to come up. I've had police officers recently that say, "Come out the car." I said, "Who do you think you're talking to?" Me. You go tell your mother that. So sorry. My apologies. Sorry. I grow angry when I speak about the truth of what's happened with me. You know what I'm saying? But it's, I apologize, but it's what happened. I actually told him that, because it's about manners. And when you have officers that come up and say, "Hi, good day," I say, "Good day, officer. How can I help you?" You're in the best position to be polite. Politeness is a big deal, and people don't seem to want to have that common respect, that little common respect. You know what I'm saying? It's having that little common respect. It goes a long way, and we have to push for people to have that common respect. And the first place that we have to establish it is amongst ourselves, having that common respect amongst ourselves, how we deal with ourselves. How we deal with your own with the most professionalism possible. That's my lesson for the day. When you meet a black person on the road, deal with them with the most and utmost level of respect. Don't just look at them as a black brother and say, "Yo, I go on the brother." Deal with them with the utmost level of professionalism possible. The utmost level of professionalism. Because when we start to do that with each other, no matter what the situation is, always deal with your own correctly. 100% of the time, deal with your own correctly. Because that will start to set a domino effect where we make cool everything we do. And if you notice, we deal with each other in such a negative way that it's become cool for others to deal with us in a negative way as well. Second? It makes cool for us to deal with each other in a negative way as well. So we need to step away from dealing with each other negatively. If we are the trendsetters, everything we do sets trends. So if we are the trendsetters, we then need to set the trend of what we expect. And when I say deal with each other in the best way possible, it doesn't mean you're going to go and see everyone and say, "Good morning, sir, good evening, sir, good night, sir," and all that stuff. It means once you understand the policy, if you work in Tesco, for example, or better yet, where's that shop that black guy was rude on the till? The one in Halston next to the courts. That it's like a Saviour's kind of shop, but that I'm trying to think. Anyway, if you work in a shop and someone asks you for your help, don't hit him up because he's a black man with some euphemisms, and implement the procedures that you would implement if it was an old white lady. That's what I mean. Pound stretcher. You do things to give such a level of respect to your own people that when people start seeing that, they have no choice but to replicate it. But when you're talking to your own and you're not giving your own that level of respect, you end up being in a situation where you lose that level of respect, not only for the person you're giving that disrespect to, but for your very self, because you're throwing yourself under the bus. So the first place that I want people to start is to stop throwing those negative jargons out about themselves. Stop calling themselves the N-words. That ain't going to be easy, But stop, because you're making it cool for the N-word to exist. When you use the N-word, when you're using it in affection or hate, you're making it cool for it to exist, and you make it cool for someone like Tommy Robinson to down the road to call you that. Because you keep it in existence, you keep the energy about it flowing. When you disrespect your own in a situation where all it is that you're in a place of employment, you don't have to do it in your personal life, because in your personal life your space is your own personal space. People shouldn't be invading your space. But in your professional life, where you're working somewhere, when you come across your own, give your own such high levels of regards and respect that when people see that, it's like it throws them off. Make it cool to be the most respectful to your own. Think about what I'm saying to you. We are the trendsetters. From a psychological point of view, anything that we put into motion becomes the outcome of the output of what we're trying to achieve. So from a psychological perspective, if is there a psychologist listening? If there's a psychologist listening and I'm chatting foolishness, call me and tell me. You know what I mean? My little basic psychology may be wrong. I would love to interview someone that's done these social dynamic studies. If you are one of those people, give us a call, especially if you're from one of the Russell Group universities or your Oxbridge. I would love to hear from you in terms of whether I'm speaking foolishness or whether fundamentally the underlying principle of what I'm portraying to the listening audience is correct. Give us a call, 0753 996 8143, 0753 996 8143. And it even goes more so towards those black police officers. Stop being a black white man. A lot of you are black white men. It's like the way that you deal with your own is even more atrocious and worse. Granted, because you might be angry, because you might feel a way that they are making you look bad because you're trying to be professional here, dancing for whoever you're dancing for, and they look bad because they just look like the ignorant black man. But nonetheless, swallow that pain for a moment and show them the highest level of professionalism. So even if they're wrong, they go jail, right? So let me rephrase that. Should they be wrong, they go jail, right? But if they're right, the level of professionalism that you've given them has empowered them to feel more justified and secured in the force. The sad thing is that a lot of black police officers out there, when you come across them, they are showing up for their white colleague. And I'm not going to say that apologetically. You do have some good ones, you do have some decent ones, and when you got those ones, you love them more than cook food. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not knocking every single black police. I don't want every single black police to start feeling we say I don't do that. If you don't do that, then good, I'm not talking to you. You know what I'm saying? But ensure also that your colleagues deal with your own in the right way. And once you have that level of respect, once that becomes a trend where every single professional black person deals with every black person with such levels of respect, the dynamic in this country will start to change, because we put into practice, because the black person will learn not to accept anything from anyone else because their own treats them so well. So we put into practice what we expect for ourselves. We become that example. The moment that we are not that example and we calling ourselves the N-words and this and that and that and that, remember, they're not going to do it unless there's a mass movement to things. These changes won't take place. If there's an individual like myself out there on a platform preaching and teaching every day, and then there start to be a movement around that individual, the only thing the authorities do is look to tear down that individual. That's all they look to do. So everything that we do for it to be successful and to have that positive outcome that we're looking for, we need to do it as a mass movement at the same time, because if we all do it at the same time, there's no way of stopping it. It becomes a mass movement to what it is. And the first thing and the simplest thing that you can do to start a great movement in that sense is to be, when you're in a professional setting, be the most professional and the best and most respectful person you can be, especially to your own. I don't business about nobody else. All you do with everybody else is on you. It's your job. If you want to lose your job for foolishness, that's down to you. But when you're dealing with your own, go above and beyond to be polite. Ignore them even if they want to be rude. Just go above and beyond to give your own that little level of credibility and credit, and let them feel what's been lacking for so long, a little bit of pride and greatness in themselves, because no one else ain't doing it, so we might as well do it. That caller needs to go live. Only up too long. What's the caller saying? Tell a caller say I have to go live. Yeah. 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again. 0753 996 8143. You know, if you want to go live, we're talking about these things. The key things that we're talking about is the impact on us as a people. They say Black Lives Matter. Does it? Let's show them that it does. You know, young Christopher Kapessa has suffered at the hands of a racist attack that might have led to his accidental. I'm not saying that the young person that pushed him might have wanted him to die, but they need to take responsibility for the action. So they should have been manslaughter charge, because a foolish action and a detrimental outcome, there still needs to be a punishment. I don't care if the young person is smart, because there's many a smart black youths inside prison walls because society says they committed a crime. So when the young person is white, they committed a crime too. It ain't gonna be one spoon for one and one for the other. And by us drawing that line and start to deal with ourselves with that same level of love and respect that everyone else does for their own, you'll cut out a lot of the foolishness. You know, when you have far right police officers behaving in such a way, you know what I'm saying, where people scared to stand up. I'm sure if everyone starts to deal, if we all start to deal with each other in that, it becomes a fashion. You know, I remember the days when knocking your fist was a fashion thing amongst black people. Now all of a sudden the fist bump is everyone's thing. But anyway, I remember when it was a black thing to knock fists. Boom. You get me? Now let's make being polite and professional within the workplace to our own the new fashion thing. That's what I'm calling for. To be polite and professional, to be the most polite and professional to your own. No matter if you hate the person, geez, I'm peace, I can't. This person is annoying one. Be polite, give them the level of decree, make them feel like the queen herself within a professional setting. In your personal setting, you do as you want. Your personal life is your life. How you live it is how you choose to live it. But within a professional setting, if you know the company rules and procedures, give that level of decree and treatment to your own as best as possible, giving them the best guidance. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Am I being overly Afrocantic? I won't say romantic. You know what I mean? But you know, our thoughts goes out to everyone affected by this coronavirus. They say in Rome in my head, you know, because I don't wish bad on anyone, but you get me. Some people deserve certain little things, but some people don't. And you know, all the people that's going through the sufferation, we don't know if them all deserve the sufferation. So we don't wish bad upon nobody. You know what I mean? So we say thoughts goes out. You know what I mean? But let nature take its course and do what nature have to do. In your public life, all I'm asking people to do is be the most professional you can be to your own. You have an officer that belonged to a far right group. The news media mentioned it a smidgen. I barely heard it. I had to think, did I hear that? So what about the people that he's arrested over the years? And it never got mentioned again. But yet, young Mr. Kapessa died No one heard about it that 14 white kids pushed a black child into a river and he drowned. And then the families are trying to come together and collude seemingly, I'm saying that out of my own mouth, seemingly to collude to cover this up through poor policing and police misconduct. That is clearly still with racial, what's the word? Institutional racist procedures within the South Wales Police. These are things that we need to stamp out ourselves for ourselves. No one's going to get up one day and start saying black love until black people start getting up and say black love. Do you understand that? If you can foresee, if you think of a future where there's no racism and everyone just has respect for each other, you're thinking of a future without the N-word per se. And if it's a future without the N-word, that means, what, are you waiting for the UK government to say there's a ban on the N-word, no one can use it? Or are you going to take it up to say, you know what, I'm going to self-censor myself not to use certain negative terms against my own. I'm just going to use positive terms. So instead of calling your friend dog, call your friend God. You all go on, young God. You get me? You know, cleanliness is godliness. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to be overly preachy. I'm just saying, let's eliminate the negative terms out of it. Use whatever positive terms you choose to. Make it trendy to use positive terms. But why do we make it trendy to use negative terms? Is he going? No. We need a phone line then. 0753-996-8143. You know. Caller, you cannot have my producer on the line for 15 minutes and you don't want to go live. She's not going to remember the messages anyway. Yeah, so if you want to go live, wait, they come like say, oh, sorry, it's like some romantic conversation going on over there. So I apologize. I'll stay out of it. So the text and call-in number, if I can get the phone line back, better give me a personal number then. 0753-996. I got no filter, people, if you realize now, yeah. 0753-996-8143. I'll give it again. 0753-996-8143. One last time. Give us a call, a text, let us know that you're listening. Let me know how I sound. Am I just rambling? Am I a rambling madman, or does it make sense? 0753-996-8143. It's the Doctor's Surgery, Britain's first black current affairs show, dealing with all the issues that have been pertinent in the media over the last week. We reflect on things, looking at the nuances and the undertones of the articles. We reflect on things by discussing it with yourself, getting your point of view, and we take a point of discussing it in detail so that we bring the attention to you, the masses, so that you yourself can each one teach one. You can push the information on. We say that people need to start looking into these things themselves, keep abreast of what's taking place in the media, because it's important and it's essential, so that, you know, we know. One of the biggest problems in the music scene, and I said I didn't want to really cover entertainment per se, not because I got an issue with entertainment, but because there's so much people doing a discussion about entertainment. I keep it very, very brief when it comes to entertainment articles. But one of the big things that we got a missed call from 478. No, that can't be. One of the big things that takes place in what was I saying? One of the big things that takes place in in the entertainment industry that should really be kind of touched on is these are the rappers making comments about the racism that's taking place. Now, we know that the head of the Metropolitan Police, Crusader Dickhead of the Metropolitan Police, we know that she's is it Crusader Dick? Is it Crusader or Cressida, or I can't remember what her first name is. Look it up for me again. I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing her name right, because every week I say it, I go, is that her name though? Cressida or Crusader or you know. I just know someone once said, you get me, you need to be careful what you name your child, because you get me, you could end up looking like Crusader Dick. That's something like that someone said to me once. You get me? I don't know. I don't even know what she looks like, so I don't know if that meant she was ugly or she was pretty. But nonetheless, I'm not going to dismiss Dick. Crusader Rose Dick. What's her name? That's her name. So I did say it right, Crusader Dick. So so with Miss Dick, Dame Dick, you know, she's done a lot of positive if she's actually stamped out institutional racism out the Met Police. But I think the next phase then that we need to establish is for her to stamp out bad practices of individual officers in the Met Police, you know. And I think my lack of understanding of institutional racism has kind of painted me in a negative picture of Miss Dick, because I was so angry when she said that she got rid of that the Met Police is no longer institutional racist. My misunderstanding of what that term meant led me to feel that she herself was racist. But again, this is why it's good to have dialogue and to have chat. We had a caller that held you for like 15-20 minutes. What was the caller talking about?
There was a personal message in there.
Okay, my
but it was
bad.
basically just expressing how he shows his gratitude towards the community, but the community doesn't give it back. And that's often the case of, you know, your message was talking about showing gratitude to one another. He was just saying it's more of a case of everyone learning to show that gratitude to one another.
I would say, when I say give it, I'm not talking about in your personal setting. Your personal setting is a different thing, because obviously your personal setting will have a bit more of too much nuances on uncontrollable variables for me to even start saying.
That's what you were saying then.
For me to start saying, in your personal life, let it be. What I'm saying is that within your professional life, when you have procedures and policies of a workplace that you're meant to adhere by, be the most professional. Make sure those the black people that you interact with in whatever way possible, as and when, if they need support, be the most supportive with them. If they need advice, be the most supportive with them. Give them so much level of respect during that professional interaction that it sets a different decree. It sets a different feeling of, you know, feeling a part of something. Because one of the biggest problems that we have is that, you know, our own is the first to not really truly to in a professional setting to knock you. And when you find that professional person in the workplace, you love them. You know, you always say, yes brother, yes sister. You get what I'm saying? You find it's such a what's the word? It's such a it's such a how can I find a word? My mind's gone blank with it. But the feeling that it gives you is really uplifting. You know, thank you. You know, I mean, it's one of the most uplifting feelings that you can ever get when you meet someone of your own that's opening doors for you in the workplace, and that's just so professional, and they're not doing it because they want anything from you. They're not doing it because they expect something from you. They're just doing it because the level of courtesy is just so. And if once we keep doing that, eventually the fire of anger that we burn especially when we go into somewhere feeling that we're going to get that fight, so we light that flame before we go in. If you're like me, before I go into any kind of meeting or anything, I just light a flame. I'm just angry. Once I walk in, I'm already vexed. My producer will tell you that I go into meetings angry. Not because I think that I should go into the meeting angry, or it's wise to go into the meeting angry, is because I know that the upheaval and the level of difficulties I'm going to have within that meeting. I just get angry because I don't want the meeting to then change my mood state and someone thinks they can control me in the meeting. So once I go in there angry, I'm already in the mood state of what it is, and I'm already presenting it in the same way, and no matter what the outcome, I'm going to be the same way throughout the meeting. That's why I choose that path. But I'm not saying people should follow me. But the point is, sometimes someone comes into something with that fire burning and blazing, and you can see it, and you're thinking, you know what, this I don't deserve this, and your reaction to that is negative. I don't go in there with a negative anger. I just go in there with knowing that there might be resistance to anything that I'm doing in terms of what I'm pushing forward with. But once you have that professionalism of being courteous to your own and understanding, you know, within that professional setting, a personal person in a shop or a personal person in a business interacting with you has no need to be courteous, even though it will be expected. But you are being paid to follow the rules and procedures of the institution, and it's a different level of feeling where you cool that burning fire of that customer or that patron with that calming waters and guidance and level of professionalism. And all I'm saying is, once we start in that basic angle, from that basic perspective within our professional lifestyle, things will gradually change around us. I feel that ripple effect will take place. That's just my 2 pence. So caller, I understand that you know within the personal setting is too many variables. Go ahead. What, there was more? Okay, so we're almost at the end of the show. We have the next 10 minutes to go. The number is 0753-996-8143. I'll give it again, 0753-996-8143. It's the doctor's surgery. I do apologize for certain discrepancies this week. I got a bit heated and things just came out, but it is what it is. I can only do things in an uncompromising way and say it as it is, because sometimes the passion gets the better of us, and I'm not doing it to be disrespectful. I do apologize if I've offended anyone this week with that one, so I need to kind of highlight that. Remember, we need to support. If you don't know, we did an interview at 9 o'clock with Hillary Brown, the lawyer for the Kapessa family, and there's a march on the 21st of March, no pun intended. There's a march on the 21st of March, so that's a week and a half or so. The information will be available on social media. It's a march in London for justice for Christopher Kapessa. If you don't know, Christopher Kapessa is a young black guy that was pushed into a river in South Wales and drowned, and the push was from a young white youngster that the police refused to do their due diligence with, and then the outcome of that was the CPS determining that it's not in the public's interest to press charges against this young man, because it's absolutely atrocious, you know. So we want justice for Christopher. So on the 21st of March, look out for that, the information regarding that march, and if you can attend, that would be great. Then we also have a crowdfunding website to help to raise some money for this legal push. And if you can support, whether it's £1 to £1 million, whatever you can donate, that won't hurt your pocket. You donate, you know, whether it's £1 or £1 million. If you're, you know, Oprah listening, Oprah, we want some money to help fight that case, yeah, even though no one don't like you so much in the community anymore. So justice for Christopher Kapessa 4. Is that what it is? Yeah. So justice for Christopher Kapessa 4 at the end. Okay? No?
4 at the end. Just the 4 in the middle.
Oh, it's the 4 in the middle?
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Justice for Christopher Kapessa. Yeah, and if you go onto the crowdsourcing website, you sent me the link for that, didn't you? So let me see if I can find the link. I'll give that. If you can donate, you know, it's not about this show, it's about the family and supporting the family. So if you can do that, that would be great. If you can help with that. Let me see. So it's www.crowdjustice.com/case/justice for Christopher Kapessa. Yeah, so Kapessa is spelled Kapessa, and Christopher is Cristopher. So it's www.crowdjustice.com/case/justice for Christopher Kapessa. So that will bring you to the crowd funding site. So it'll be good if you can give some information there in relation to that, and give some support to the family. That'll be great. Text message reads, I'm spreading love and black power. The old woman next door wants to go shopping and just rang me to ask to take her, which is my pleasure to do. That makes me feel good. You know, thank you very much, Coley. You see what I said? Just keep it professional, keep it like that, you know, support our own, you know, make our own feel like they're the most blessed people when they interact with you. And when we interact with each other, you know, we need to stop kicking each other because we all down. You know, let's get rid of this crab in the barrel mentality, as old-time Jamaican people would say, crab in the barrel. You know, let's get rid of that mentality. We all support each other. Let us pick each other up without looking for a reward for picking each other up. Let's just support and pick each other up. And you know, I can guarantee you will see a marked difference in the next 10 years. If we start today, in the next 10 years, like I said, if you can envisage a time and day when there's no racism on this planet, if you can picture a time and day when there's no racism on this planet, what do you see? Are you waiting for someone else, another racial group, to come in and say, this is a change that's needed? Or is it a change that has to take place at the grassroots? And if it's a change that takes place at the grassroots, let's start to each push it out. Let's make it the UK that set this precedence. We now follow. America is doing black excellence, which is great. Let the UK set the precedence in how black love is expressed. So black excellence and the expression of black love. And the expression of black love is within our professional settings, we always show that level of respect and good care for each other. And that goes to our black family members in the police force, in the service industry, or wherever you are, where you're getting paid to treat the public in a certain positive light and with a certain positive interaction. You know, even if it's a criminal and it's a black criminal, make him feel good whilst you're locking him up. You know, you don't have to beat him up to lock him up. You know what I'm saying? To deal with people properly, deal with people with love and respect, and it will go a long way. It will start to change minds. It will start to change actions. It will start to change outcome. You know, and you know, we have to start taking that stance in everything that we do. Once we stop doing those little things, then if we don't do those little things, then you know, when will it start? Let it start. Let the time be now for those changes. As you can see, nature is doing its thing. You don't need to fight the world. Nature is doing its thing. You just need to do your thing and start to build your own, build yourself, feel confident in yourself that you are positive to your own person. Positive to your own. No, always positive to your own. Why? Because if we have to tell someone else that Black Lives Matter, come on. It means it never mattered to them. If I have to tell someone, say, yo, my life matter, or Black Life Matter, then think about it. Let people recognize, and you know, don't let people walk over you. Let people recognize I can't say it no other way. Let people recognize you take what you expect. You take what you expect. Take it. Don't wait for someone to give it to you. You know? Don't let anyone take anything from you that is rightfully yours. If it's rightfully yours, you keep a hold of it and keep it precious to what it is. And you take what you expect. You know? And these are the little things that we have to start doing for each other, building each other up, making strong. You know? And those little things, they will go a long way. Because again, the media did not push these cases. They would push about a lying little white girl that said she got raped when she didn't, for ages, until the video came out showing that the little lying white girl was lying, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. But then a black youngster died at the hands of unscrupulous action, and you hear nothing about it, not even peep nor pope. Just a little hidden section in the BBC and various other news outlets, but in a minor and very quiet way. No precedence, no push. Our MPs didn't even talk about it. You know, our MPs are busy talking about what? Their names being wrong. You get what I'm saying? Their names being wrong. Someone calling Dan Abbott Patricia Bailey, or whatever their names are. I don't care what their names are. What are they doing? You know what I'm saying? So the point is, let's start to build each other up. I'm not going to tear them down. I'm just saying, MPs, black MPs, step up to the plate, man. Step up to the mantle. You know, let's everyone move together. We're not saying hate other people. We're not. You know what I mean? This is not about divide and rule. This is not about hating other people. This is about self-love. Love yourself and keep informing and teaching each other. Until next week, you know, it's the doctor's surgery.
News and views around your
Italy is on lockdown as it battles the coronavirus outbreak. The Civil Protection Service has been making public announcements like this one in Naples. 60 million people are being told to stay at home unless it's an emergency or they have to go to work. Restaurants and bars will close at dusk tonight, schools are shut, and sporting events are cancelled. Tourist Natasha Pearson is in Rome.
There's no kind of panic in the streets or anything. We've seen more police and they've taken different measures, like in the restaurant you have to sit more than an inch away from anyone, even your family. It seems like things are a little more scary than maybe they were a bit ago.
The latest advice for British citizens who are returning from Italy is that they should self-isolate for 14 days. Foreign Office also says people shouldn't go there unless it's essential. British experts are telling us to prepare for thousands of COVID-19 cases. Welsh First Minister Mark Braithwaite says any action we next week must be well timed.
If you ask people to do things too soon, then if you have to go back and ask them a second time to take the same sort of actions, then we know that people's response to that is likely to be less strong.
Health experts say most people who catch the virus will have mild symptoms, which will get better in a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, the process of Wolves Europa League tie against Rangers on Greece on Thursday will be played behind closed doors. Let's get some more stories now. Criminals on probation.
What? Say again? The phone dropped. Say again? Okay. Yeah, we get carried away and go on a little fire sometime. Okay. No, I'm just like, you know, sometimes you actually talk and you just vex the word, just fly out of your mouth the wrong way. Alright. It's Chris said a dickhead. Head of the Metropolitan Police, man. Me not say Crusader Dickens, say Crusader Dickens of the Metropolitan Police. No, of the Metropolitan Police. You know, their names are Crusader Dickens, yeah.